We can compare solutions of different water concentrations to see which way water will move. In this image, you can see two solutions separated by a partially permeable membrane. This left-hand side has a higher concentration of water molecules. You can see that there are more blue dots on this side. The right-hand side has a much lower concentration of water molecules, as the solute concentration is greater, shown by more orange dots. It's important that you understand how water may move by osmosis in different situations, such as in animal and plant cells. So how does this image here apply to living cells? When the concentration of water and solutes is the same on each side of a membrane, we call the solution isotonic. In this image, you can see a cell, and the cell membrane is partially permeable. Inside the cell is the cell cytoplasm. This contains water and other solutes, such as sugars, which the cell needs. Over on the right-hand side of the screen is an isotonic solution, which is the same concentration as the inside of the cell. We often use this word isotonic when talking about sports drinks, which may be used by athletes. This is something you may look at elsewhere in the course. Because the concentration of the cell cytoplasm is the same as the isotonic solution, there will be no net movement between the two areas. But what happens if the cell is placed in a more concentrated solution, like salty water? If a cell is placed in a highly concentrated solution, water will move out of the cell by osmosis. So again, we have our cell with its partially permeable membrane, and this time just outside the cell is salt water. Because the salt water is more concentrated than the cytoplasm, there will be a net movement of water by osmosis out of the cell and into the salt water. So, as water moves out of the cell when it's placed in a highly concentrated solution, can you guess what's going to happen when we place it in a more dilute solution? If a cell is placed in a dilute solution, water will move into the cell by osmosis. So this time, the environment outside of our cell is pure water. There's no solute in this solution, which means that there will be a movement of pure water by osmosis across the cell's partially permeable membrane and into the cell. Let's take a look at the effect that osmosis can have on cells. We can place animal cells into different solutions to see the effects of osmosis. In this diagram is an animal cell inside an isotonic solution. There's no net movement into or out of the cell. Remember, this is because the concentration of the isotonic solution is the same as the concentration in the cytoplasm. Therefore, with no concentration difference across the membrane of either water or solutes, there will be no net movement. In this diagram, you can see an animal cell in salt water. Because the surrounding solution is salty and concentrated, water will leave the cell, causing it to shrink and shrivel. Finally, this is an animal cell in pure water. A cell placed in this environment will burst as too much water moves in via osmosis. This is because the cytoplasm will be more concentrated in terms of solutes compared to the pure water outside. The cell can only hold so much water before it bursts. What's the effect of osmosis on plant cells? Plant cells have a cell wall that stops them from bursting when they gain water by osmosis. So this is what the plant cell is going to look like when it's placed in an isotonic solution. Remember, in this scenario, there'll be no net movement of water into and out of the plant cell. This is what the plant cell would look like if we placed it in salt water. In this example, the cytoplasm would shrink, causing the plant to wilt. Finally, this is what our plant cell would look like when placed into pure water. Because there's a net movement of water into the plant cell, it starts to swell up. However, this time, unlike in the animal cells, this thick cell wall prevents the cell from bursting, and it helps to maintain plant structure.
Thanks for watching. If you want to take your GCSE revision to the next level, head over to launchpadlearning.com and check out our smart learning platform that's been designed to get you top results in your exams. We cover your whole specification and make revision fun with interactive quizzes, easy-to-follow videos, and more. You'll be kept motivated by your own AI tutor who's here to support you every step of the way. To check it out for yourself, click here. Or click here to keep watching a selection of the videos from our full GCSE Biology course. See you there!